still takes away the offers.
It's now 6 p.m. I'd like to call to order the Regional Planning Commission public hearing meeting for Thursday, March the 7th. And we always start with a Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to ask Mr. Peterman if you'd lead us in the pledge. Thank you, Mr. Peterman. I would ask that if you have a phone or other electronic device that you either put it on vibrate or turn it off so it will not interrupt while we have the meeting tonight. Sarah, I now come to you for roll call and determination of quorum.
Mr. Peterman?
Present.
Mr. Servon?
Present.
Mrs. Karcher?
Present.
Mr. Galvery is absent. Mr. Mills?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Jester?
Here.
So you have 6 present. You do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, also in front of you, you now have the agenda. If there's no changes, additions, or deletions, I'll ask for a motion to approve in a second.
So moved.
Second.
Sarah, call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes.
Mr. Servon?
Yes to approve.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes to approve.
Mr. Mills?
Yes to approve.
Mr. Davis?
Yes to approve.
Mr. Jester?
Yes to approve.
So you have 6 yeas in favor of approving tonight's agenda.
Okay, sir, I'll come right back to you now for the introduction and public hearing instructions.
Thank you. This public hearing is being conducted for the purpose of giving the citizens of the county the opportunity to present testimony on the application before the Planning Commission. Everyone will have a chance to speak. All statements are to be made from the podium at the front of the room. All testimony given shall be sworn or affirmed. For the record, please give your name and address. Copies of any written statements or exhibits used during the hearing should be presented for identification and inclusion in the record. The record will remain open for 2 business days following tonight's hearing. For the application before the Commission, the chairman will introduce the application. Then the applicant or representative will be given 15 minutes to present the application. Following that, those in favor of the application will be allotted 5 minutes each to speak. Then those opposed to the application will be allotted 5 minutes each to speak. When everyone has had an opportunity to give testimony, the hearing on the application will be closed. No decision will be made by the Commission tonight. The Commission will hold a public business meeting next Thursday, March 14th at 6 p.m., at which time it will make a decision on the application heard tonight. All information of record will be considered, and a common vote of 4 members of the Commission is required to make a decision. Anyone may attend the business meeting, but no new testimony will be received. The public notice of this hearing was published on February 7th, 2024 in the Delaware State News. And the Levy Court will hear this application on Tuesday, March 26th, 2024 at 7 p.m. unless tabled by the Planning Commission or withdrawn prior to the levy court hearing. The levy court also meets in this room. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. We'll now get into our meeting for this evening. Our first and only application entitled tonight is C-23-10, Artist Drive Solar 1, LLC. Applicant is Artist Drive Solar 1, LLC, care of New Leaf Energy Incorporated, 55 Technology Drive, Suite 102, Lowell, Maine, 01851. Owners are J. Richard and Joan Mead Jones, 38 Glad Circle E, Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, 19971. Engineer is Arm Group Incorporated, 1201 Market Street, Suite 111, Wilmington, Delaware, 19081. Comprehensive plan map designation is low density residential. Present zoning district is AC, agriculture conservation. Relationship to the growth zone is outside. Present use is a golf course / driving range. Proposed use is community energy generating facility, solar. Levy court district is the second, Mr. Hall. School district is Capital. Fire district is Dover, Station 46. Area and location is 40.19 plus or minus acres. Project area is 19.5 plus or minus acres, located on the east side of Artist Drive, approximately 1,272 feet south of Forest Avenue, west of Dover. Is there someone here tonight to represent this application? Please come to the mic, and if you're not an attorney, give us your name and address, and you can be either sworn or affirmed.
Yes, sir. My name is Claire Habel, project developer with New Leaf Energy, an address of 11454 Shady Farm Lane, Ashland, Virginia, 23005. I'd be happy to be sworn in.
Ma'am, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may proceed.
Before you get into your presentation, I assume you've read the staff report and agree with all the recommendations?
Yes, sir.
I just needed that for the record. So
Yes.
Now go ahead with your presentations.
Thank you.
We'll see what you got to say.
As a matter of record, I just wanted to say that the New Leaf Energy headquarters is in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Thank you.
Yes, confirm. All right, as I mentioned, my name's Claire Habel. I'm the project developer for Artist Drive Solar 1. It's nice to see you all this evening and all of you as well. I do have a brief presentation to go through tonight with some visuals I'd like to use in discussion, but I do also have virtually Sean Brandt on the line, who is the civil engineer with New Leaf Energy, who is working with me on this project, as well as Genevieve Smith, who's with Arm Group, who is our outside consultant for this project. Sean Brandt couldn't be here in person tonight, so there may be times where I will defer any response for Sean to answer, where it may be more appropriate for his perspective.
Can we go ahead and have him give his name and address and be sworn in case we go back and forth between you two?
Sure. I'm Sean Brandt, 55 Technology Drive, Lowell, Massachusetts.
Sir, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, go ahead.
All right, tonight, just a couple of things. You've met the team, Sean and myself, so we'll just jump into the site location and some of the details that I think are important for you all to hear tonight. I will be brief, so if there are questions, please ask them, and we can go back to the details that are most important to you all. Site location was already stated, close to the Dover High School off of Route 8. Right now, it's a golf course, Dover Par 3. The surrounding area are a mature area of trees, residential homes, and some agricultural activity. You already mentioned it's just shy of 40 acres in total. We're proposing to use 19.5 of those, give or take, for the proposed facility. This parcel is currently owned by Rick Jones, and it is a golf course. Right now, the land has been maintained for the golf course with some ornate grass, which will be replaced by a pollinator mix of native species, which may improve the stormwater management of the area, potentially reducing the areas of flooding around. It will increase biodiversity, including pollinators that are so vital to the agricultural activity of the area. And it requires less routine maintenance, using fewer resources and no chemical treatments that the golf course does use currently. Again, this is a golf course, so the landscape is flat, which is perfect for solar since we won't need to do any grading or any earthwork to make the solar panels possible. I've already met with you all, and I won't get too much into why this is a good site for solar. I'll just touch on the fact that there's 3-phase power lines nearby. It's relatively close to a substation, and we've been able to avoid the wetlands and other natural features that would sometimes give a developer headaches. We were able to avoid that, and we have a straightforward plan for you tonight. We did attempt to get administrative approval for this project. We sent out, per the county's requirements, USPS certified mailers. We received 4 objections with the concerns listed here. That prompted us to have a community meeting that was held at the clubhouse of the golf course, and a good group of neighbors did turn out. We spent a lot of time talking about neighbors' concerns, the questions they had, comments, and you know, the whole gambit. And after that meeting, 2 of the objections were removed, and 2 remained on record, which is why we're here tonight. I think the most important part about this slide that I want to highlight in the neighbor engagement is that 94% of the neighbors we notified had no objection. A few did. And actually, of the folks who reversed their objection, many expressed to me actual support of the project, not only a neutral position, but support of the project. I won't get into this whole list here, but we have met all of the ordinance requirements in the proposal in front of you. This was a question brought up in our neighbor meeting and might be on your minds as well. The golf course includes a clubhouse. With the plan in front of you would be an intention to keep the clubhouse up. And then I have an image I'll show you in just a moment. The solar array would butt up against the clubhouse, of course, respecting the required setbacks. But the clubhouse will remain up and functional. And the landowner has expressed to me an interest in perhaps pursuing a different SUP, maybe subdividing. He's not entirely sure the pathway he would go after approval if we get there. But the idea is that the clubhouse would remain up and functional, and he would be leasing this space to another business as well as the parking lot. I can't speak too much more to that topic because I'm not the landowner, but I know that a lot of folks had questions, and I thought I would give you what I can on that matter. The design per the ordinance requirements, again, you've had the chance to review this, but I will call out a couple of things. We have followed all the setback requirements from neighboring parcels, from structures, and from wetlands. We've actually managed to avoid impacting any of the not the taxages, but wetlands on site. And one thing I wanted to point out, which might not be so obvious in the plans to you all, is that there is a small portion on the southwest side here that is an easement area included with our lease agreement. Now that falls.
Can I tell you on that screen right there, if you put your finger on it, it has an arrow. You can point to wherever you're talking about in the areas. There you go. And some of my senior gentlemen here to my right want you to slow down a little bit so they can understand some things.
Not a problem.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, I'd be happy to slow down. I'm trying to be efficient with my time. But,
Appreciate that.
Yeah, yes. As I mentioned, this area here is included in the lease agreement with our landowner. And the reason why it was included is so that that area can be maintained by this facility, the owner of this facility, and it wouldn't be up to the landowner to have someone come in or to have to schedule or hear about overgrown, grasses and things. This would be included with the lease agreement and managed in the same fashion that the solar facility would be managed. And that was by request of the landowner, since he wanted to make sure that all the areas that are here would be manicured in a similar fashion to the best of their abilities to the way that it looks right now. We did have some visual renderings drawn up for this site. There's 3 that I've included here for you. The first photo you'll see is the current view, and if you look to the bottom left, this is showing you the line of sight. So this one in particular is looking out from the clubhouse. This is the current view. The proposed view, as I mentioned, will butt up right against the clubhouse. So what you'll see is the visual buffer. If you were standing right outside the clubhouse, you're going to be seeing this visual buffer here. This current view is off of Artist Drive facing into the golf course in between two neighboring parcels and their homes/garage. You'll see in the background that there are some trees visible. And this is the current view. With the proposed view, there is a slight change in what you're seeing, a little bit shorter trees. I'll go back to the original and then the proposed. The difference that I'm noticing is that some of the trees existing on the golf course would need to be removed for the panels to be placed, but that you'll see that there is a robust layer of trees that are providing that visual buffer. On this last view, it's at the southwest corner of the golf course facing in. This is the current view, and the proposed view would be showing again that visual buffer with the trees. And I'll just go back, the current view and the proposed view. As I mentioned at the top, I wanted to be very brief and give you all enough time to ask me the important questions for you. So this is where I'll stop and turn it to you for any questions.
Before I turn it over to the commissioners, who's going to benefit from this particular location? Where does it go into the grid, and where is it going to be ending up?
Sure, yeah, this project is meant to be part of Delmarva's Community Solar Program. The Community Solar Program takes on distributed generated facilities, which are the solar projects that plug into the distribution level, not the big transmission lines, but the three-phase that run along the highway. And this is going to be going to a substation about 2.5 miles away. The concept of this program is that the energy that is generated here on site is intended to stay local. So folks who can wish to benefit from this facility would have the option to what they call subscribe, enroll in a community solar program, totally optional. The folks that do would be getting a bill that includes a different calculation of your energy bill, not straight from Delmarva, but it would be going through a third party. And the benefit is for those who enroll are expected to see at least a 10% savings in energy costs. And we've yet to see from Delmarva what those savings will be. None of the projects have come online yet, but that's the intent and the benefits.
Thank you very much. I think Commissioner Davis has a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We did receive a letter from one of the adjoining neighbors, and I tried to ask those questions on their behalf, if I may.
Yes, sir.
I've never really heard of this, but one question: what procedure do you have in place in order to prevent computer hacking of the solar panels? I don't even know that could exist, but today's technology, I just wanted to ask that question. Can people get into those panels and use it for themselves through new technology like satellites and stuff?
I haven't seen or heard of an event like this happening, but to your point, Mr. Davis, I mean, in this day and age, who knows? What I can say is that this facility has a lot of safety mechanisms in place, not only on site inside the fenced area, but also required by Delmarva. In fact, we're what we call the pole farm. It's the series of poles leading up to where it will interconnect to the rest of the grid. They require us to have equipment isolated on individual poles. One of those poles is exactly for cutting off service should any event happen, whether that be a natural disaster causing issues or perhaps someone hacking in and causing problems. There are safety mechanisms in place to cut off connection of this system to the rest of the grid.
Thank God. We see a lot of these come before us about the solar panels, and I've never seen anybody ask that question. So in today's technology, anything could happen. So thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask now if Mr. Brandt has anything he'd like to add to this before I open it up to questions to him or all. Sir, would you like to add to what the young lady's spoken of?
No, she's done a great job so far. Thank you.
So I guess with the drainage issue, it seems like there was some questions and some of the negativity we received from the neighbors. The actual off-flow from the area, because you're not going to be touching the grades very much, what I hear from you, it's pretty much going to stay like it is. So if there was a concern or something there, it would probably still stay there, or what?
I think
Well, there will.
Either one
Sean,
of you, I don't care. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sean, please.
There will be some minor grading in order to accommodate proper drainage of the site And in addition to that, it will go from being a well manicured golf course within the fenced area to more of a meadow condition, which will help with infiltration and slowing of the stormwater. So, by all accounts, the stormwater issues that may exist around this property stand to potentially be improved.
So in other words, maybe some kind of swales or something to prevent it from going off-site or something like that, correct?
Absolutely.
Very much. Is there any other commissioners have any questions of the engineer and the gentleman on the line? Anybody else? I thank you very much for your presentation, and we'll see what happens. Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak in favor of this project? Anyone else here would like to speak in favor of this project? Anyone on the line, Mark, that would like to speak in favor of this project?
If there is anyone else joining us online that would like to speak in favor of this project, please indicate by raising your electronic hand or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. I see no hands raised, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll go over to the against side. Is there anyone here who would like to come to the mic and speak against this project? Come up to the mic and speak against this project. Give us your name and address and be either sworn or affirmed. Either one, it doesn't matter which one you go to. You can go right there, sir, if you like. Yes.
You want my name?
You need your name and address so you can be sworn or affirmed by our attorney.
Okay, David Sanick, and the address is 1079 Artist Drive, Dover, Delaware.
Sir, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I'll affirm.
Fair enough. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead with what you have to say.
I think as Commissioner, I didn't get the name, Paul Davis, I think that might have been part of my letter you were reading, I don't know. But I thought I'd put it down in writing, and if there was a neutral place to sign, I might have been in that camp. But without having the information, I have to, in the against camp at this time, and so be it. My questions are there. I don't know if the engineer here has them. A big concern is the computer hacking. I mean, I don't know where the panels are made. I assume they're in China. I think the only other place is Canada that makes them. And that is a concern. As you might have heard about the cameras, China's turning on our security cameras. Public information. I'm not revealing anything new to you. It's a little bit of concern to me, but they say they were a cheaper camera, but whatever. I wonder about it, and I think it's incumbent upon this commission and whatever other is to really have some firsthand knowledge of just what system they do have that's going to prevent a third party from coming into this system and operating it to their own benefit or to the detriment of the people who are supposed to be benefiting. The other thing I have here, how will the solar panels be disposed of when they reach the end of their serviceable life?
That's actually covered in when they apply for their license and when they actually have money put in. I believe it's in escrow, sir, am I correct? For when they're decommissioned and the removal, it's all spelt in the contract, how that happens.
How has that escrow arrived when you're looking at 20 years down the road? Do you have an inflationary factor in that? I mean, you're talking panels that have lead and cadmium, a number of heavy metals, unless they're a different design that doesn't. So these get into a different kind of waste stream. And,
I think Sarah's going to answer that question for you.
What our agreement with the applicant has to do with is clearing the site when the panels are no longer in use. Disposal of the panels is governed by an entirely different agency. That's not a land use question.
I guess my line of thought is, I wish them the best, but say they go bankrupt year 12, it's not working out, there's problems, and now they're no longer able to do that. What fallback position do you have to disposed to take care of that?
That's why we've effectively got an escrow agreement that puts money aside to pay for clearing the site and putting it back to its original state.
How much?
That agreement is updated every 5 years to account for inflation.
So what is the agreement putting aside at this time?
We'll do that once it has approval, and we get an estimate of what it actually would cost to put the site back to as it is today. And again, those estimates are reviewed every 5 years.
All right, so that is something that's in your
That's in the code.
to-do list.
Yes.
Okay.
I think we also covered some other things that they're going to manage the runoff. There won't be anything running off site.
Well, I'd like to stop right there.
And
just
then
a
the
minute, if I may.
noise on the project is covered under the county noise decibel level, where it will not make any more noise than what's already there. And pretty much covers all that you had there.
I'd like to go back to item number 3. You are increasing the impervious surface by, frankly, about 100%, because under these panels, that becomes impervious. And so putting a swale, I don't think would really help the neighbors out too much, as what you need is some kind of detention or retention area which captures that water and holds it until it can be adequately in a couple days or so it goes away. But a swale is not going to do it. I mean, if you get your geotechnical engineer to look at it, when this increases the impervious by all those panels.
Well, we'd actually require the ground to be seeded and all for pollinators. So we're actually retaining a lot of moisture on the site.
Oh.
And I'd like to remind you, you've only got 2 minutes left for your presentation.
All right, I just think that point needs to be made, pollinators aside. So that's how the runoff will be managed. It's part of that. My other question is, do the panels move with the sun, or are they fixed?
They're fixed.
Okay. You might consider looking into how panels move with the sun. So I'm going to put that out there. Is there a noise with the operation of the solar panels? Are these people going to be subject to a loud humming noise, or what's going on?
That's also covered in county regulations about the decibel level that will not come off site as far as the sounds.
What decibel level are you shooting at?
It's not a specific decibel level that's permitted. What the ordinance speaks in terms of a use not exceeding ambient by a certain decibel level.
I think you need to kind of have what that certain decibel level is. That's why we have decibel meters that measure that. I mean, you have some way of getting this, and so it helps out the neighbors.
Thank you, sir. I'll let you have one more question and your time will be up.
Are the panels non-glare?
I can't answer that. I could ask the engineer if she'd like to come up and just answer very quickly, because his time is up. You come to the microphone, please. Give your name again, that you're back there.
I would ask for Mr. Brandt to respond, please.
Sure. The panels are coated with a anti-glare film or surface coating.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your presentation. We hope we answered your questions.
Thank you for allowing me to speak, and I hope you follow up on what's in there. It's only for the good of everyone.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak against this project and would like to come to the microphone? Come and give us your name, your address, and you can either be sworn or affirmed. And remind you, you have 5 minutes for your presentation.
My name is Diane Monaco. I live at 644 Artist Drive, Dover, Delaware.
Ma'am, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, ma'am.
We dropped
Please keep the mic up so we can hear you.
We dropped our letter off a few days ago. I don't know if you all have that letter, but it's a concern about the flooding and the island that we now live on because of this golf course facility. And
That's
our
the one
cons-
with the photographs attached to it?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, it is.
we've all got that one.
Yes, and that's been going on. And when I spoke to Mr. Jones about this issue, his thought was, well, you need a new septic. No, he needs to take care of the drainage in that area. And it needs to drain back into the creek back there where it should. They've been telling us for years that they were going to put drains in to keep that water from coming up into our yard and flooding back there. They have done nothing. And I think that it was just due to keep us from contacting the county and filing a formal complaint, which we should have done. We've had septic come out on top of our drain fields. We've had the run back. We've had all of that, and it is flooded yet again today. And it seems that, I don't know if he was contacted about this lately, but they came out and they pumped it off some today, but they didn't finish it all. And we're due to have more rain on Saturday. We're a household of 2. And we should not have to go to the laundromat and do our laundry. We should not have to have our septic pumped out yearly or 6 months after we already had it pumped before, because he is not taking care of his property. Not only that, what happens if there's vandalism to these panels? Or there's a fire? What are the health ramifications for us and the other neighbors?
I would suggest that if you had an existing drainage issue that is not going to be created by what they're doing, that you contact the Kent Conservation District and talk to a Mr. Jared Atkins. He's the head of that district. He will be able to help you with possibly some runoff.
Well, actually, they were supposedly working with the Kent County Conservation District, and they were waiting on them to take care of the drainage issue. See, this is what we've been hearing for the past 23 years. They were dealing with them. We have to call Denrec out to come out and spray for mosquitoes. I mean, it's not right. He doesn't take this seriously, and he doesn't really care. And I honestly don't believe that people who do not live in the area should get to make decisions that are long-term for everyone who does. I don't have a problem with what anybody does with their land if it does not negatively affect ours, and it has. And nothing has been done. And honestly, that letter that I dropped off should have gone over to the county complaints department.
Well, we appreciate your concerns and like that and all, but I certainly would follow up. I would not let it go on 23 years.
Well,
I would
I'm
address. I would have been addressed. Excuse me, ma'am. I'm trying to answer your questions.
Sure.
Okay, but I would do that. No, if something they're getting ready to work on, you know, there is going to be the possibility they are going to be taking care of a lot of the problems that you're already addressing. But I would also work through the Conservation District to make sure that they follow up and do what they need to do.
Well, with the Conservation District, when the state came out, because Mr. Jones told me that the state owned that ditch, they do not. He said they have other issues that they need to handle. And
Yeah,
he
that
went
doesn't
down and
sound
let them
correct
know.
because these conservation ditches are privately owned and could be maintained, but I would certainly follow it up that way.
Well, we have followed it up, and that was the answer that we received.
We appreciate your presentation and we appreciate what you have to say. And thank you for the photographs, sir. They were very helpful. I think we do have a couple questions. Are you done with your presentation?
Yes, I am.
I have Mr. Mills down here has a question.
Question is, do we have a map that we could pull up so we could get an idea where exactly you live and where this property that is and where this water might be generated from? Now, whereabouts would your house be?
You can use down on that table down there, put your finger on it and slide the pointer to where your house is.
Right here.
So the water, you're saying that the water is generated from off of that property and flooding your property, is that correct?
Yes, and 668 as well.
Is that, is that what you,
Property right here.
okay,
Ma'am, you
right.
have to be in front of the microphone. We can't hear you.
I'm so sorry. The flooding is coming from back here, and it floods all the way up and into our backyard. It also floods up and into the side of the properties between our property and this property. It's like a lake, it's like a pond, and there is a little puddle that stays there, and in there, there's a ditch that goes back into the woods that they're just not taking care of.
Okay, now, I want to go back to the, where is this 19 acres at on that property there? Will this solar system be located in reference to where this flooding is?
Mark, can you put up the map of the solar? Now can you slide your finger on where your house is located?
Okay, I got it.
I don't know where the
got it
bend
now.
is.
And your address again?
644 Artist Drive. I'm not sure if that's our property or not. Or if
That's
it's
close
personal.
enough. I can see where the solar panels are now.
Yeah.
And the next question would be, will the solar company that's putting in the solar address this water system?
Yes, we'll have to address that as part of our permitting. And the as is pointed out in the image that you're seeing right now, that additional area to the southwest will be maintained by the solar company and not by Mr. Jones during the duration of the project life.
Our property is, I don't even think that's our property.
There'll probably be some of us out this week looking over the situations. So I hope you don't mind if we walk through your property or
No.
look at the back of your house.
I don't mind at all.
Because we always have tonight's public hearing, and a lot of us go out to the site to see what we've had mentioned and what the complaints are about, so we can address them at our business meeting.
Now, yeah, I don't know if Mr. Jones is aware of the letter that I sent, but he is fully aware of the flooding issue. They were out there today, and as I said, I have the pictures where they had the pump and they were pumping out some of the water, but they left the rest of it there. So it's still flooded up to where our fence is, and we're expected to have more rain on Saturday. We should not have to continually pump our septic system out like that. That is ridiculous. We should not have to spend money at the laundromat.
Thank you very much for your presentation. That concludes it. Does somebody else have a question? Mr. Peterman?
Can you show me on that map where that ditch comes and how close to your house and where it goes?
Not on this
Yeah,
map.
neither the other map,
Do you have any of the pictures?
that map.
How about that map there? Can you show us the ditch on it? We already have the pictures, ma'am.
There's a ditch that goes from, there's like a little pond right here. There's a ditch that goes back into the woods. There's a big tree back here.
Remember, you have to be in front of the mic or we can't hear you.
I'm sorry. There is a ditch that is right, it's like a little, it collects it. It's a little pond area because it's just been going on for so long.
Okay.
Where does that
And
ditch go?
it is about right here, and it goes back this way, the ditch does. There's a big tree there, and you can see where the ditch goes into it. I have a picture here if you'd like to see
Yeah,
it.
we got the pictures.
It's actually a
Where-
better picture that shows where that ditch goes back into the woods.
Does
that
it
answer
end
your-
there?
I'm sorry?
Does that ditch end by that big tree that you're talking about?
The ditch, yes, it goes by the big tree, yes, actually it does.
And that's the end of the ditch?
No, the end of the ditch goes into the woods.
Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because you was talking about the soil conservation. That is not, that ditch, that property belongs to those people that wants to do this. It does not belong to the state. And if you want to get up with somebody at the soil conservation
Mm-hmm.
to get that straight, call Gene Vanderwent.
I think I may have spoken to Gene, I'm not so sure, I'm not sure
Well,
if that's him, and I'll check my,
He's the one that will come out, and he's the one that will help you.
Gene, and what was his last name?
Vanderwent.
Could you spell that, please?
We can address this later. Mr. Peterman, are you happy with what you've got going? Everything good? Mr. Servon, I think you have a question?
He's in charge of the county ditches, and they have a manager for that ditch bank.
Mr. Peterman?
Contact. And-
But it's not the county's ditch, it is the property owner's
No,
ditch.
it's that
Mr.
property
Peterman.
owner's ditch.
Sir, Jared is Mr. Vanderwin's boss. She needs to go through Jared first to have him come out there. Mr. Servon, do you have a question?
I was just wondering if you were aware if that was an actual tax ditch in the county system.
It's not a tax ditch because it's not on their maps. I can tell you that. Check that out.
No,
So you might want to get that all
it's
sorted
not,
out.
it's not a tax ditch. It's not a tax ditch. It is basically where the water is running, ponding, sitting, and coming up into our yard and flooding the property next to ours.
Right.
And then actually have video of mosquito larvae swimming in it. I mean, and this is the property between our fence and them. I mean, we shouldn't have, it should not be infiltrating our septic. I'm sorry.
Thank you, ma'am.
The tax
Thank you.
ditch system is built to alleviate problems just
So-
as this.
Right, but we're not going to get into discussions about what should have, would have, or have been. I think Mr. Davis has one more question. We're
Okay.
going to move on because you've exceeded your time.
Well, I don't really have a question, I have a statement. First of all, the landowner is gonna be putting this equipment on there, the panels. They should be fixing it. This lady should not have to go down to the Kent County Conservation District and beg them to fix that problem. That's the property of these people here. These people here need to go down themselves and work with the district and get it fixed. I can understand her situation. Some people want to hurry this thing up, but this is a straightforward issue with me. If your company don't do it, I'm not voting for you next week. I wouldn't want to live there and have to put up with what she's had to put up with. And as far as her going down to this, she's done everything she possibly can. Now, you're the property, it's coming off your property, and you ought to fix it. If you don't fix it, don't count on my vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other commissioners or anybody on the phone that would like to speak against this particular project?
If there's anyone joining us online and would like to speak in opposition to this application, please indicate by raising your electronic hand or pressing *3 if you're joining us by phone. I see no hands raised, Mr. Chair.
I see nobody else that had raised their hand to come to the microphone. So, sir, you hadn't raised your hand. I made the third call, so I will let you have this one time to come to the microphone. Give us your name and your address, and you can be sworn or affirmed.
John McCracken, 644 Artist Drive.
Sir, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
I also do not want this. I am Diane Monaco's husband. And thank you for your support. We've had nothing but problems with the runoff water for the last 20-some odd years. And if this company is going to do something about that, I would like to have that in writing. Because if it's not fixed, we're going to take this further because we're tired of it. We've put up with it for too long, actually. Mr. Jones knew about the problem years ago, and he doesn't do anything about it except for pump the water off. And he doesn't get all the water off of it. And as far as that sign that you had posted up there, it's not up there. That public notice sign that you had a picture up here for this golf course, it's not there. I ride by there every day. It's not there. So what happened to it, I have no idea. It should be at the entrance of the golf course where everybody can see it. I've talked to a lot of golfers that are back here golfing, and they don't want this solar farm. They don't want to see the golf course go. They go back here for exercise. Where else you going to go and pay one fee to golf all day, have fun, get exercise, You don't have to get dressed up in your golfing attire. You don't have to have a membership, and just have fun. It's a family-oriented place. You see a lot of families out there golfing. You see a lot of little kids out there learning how to golf. It's a good place to learn how to golf. I enjoy seeing the golfers out there. And so does our little four-legged boy. He sits there in the backyard and just watches them. And there's a few of them that come up to the fence and pet them, you know, and he knows who they are. And so, you know what, there's stray golf balls come in the yard, so what? We understand that. We live on a golf course. You're going to have that happen. You live on a football field, you're going to have footballs come in your backyard. So, just wanted to let you know my disapproval of this solar farm. And if this company is going to do something about this flooding issue, I'd like to see something in writing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Does any commissioners have any questions for this gentleman? Thank you again. Appreciate your concerns. Seeing we've now closed this will be closed until next week when we vote on it. Thank you all for coming. We're now down to any additional public comment. Anybody else have anything they'd like to bring up? Now we're down to commissioner comments. Any commissioners have anything? Sir, I would like to comment on one thing. I don't like these small plans. If there any way we could get larger, because you can't even see where the adjoining property owners are or their names that are out there and all. Is there a reason we're getting a small copy instead of a regular size?
The only explanation I can think of off the top of my head is we don't actually require formal site plans for these uses any longer.
Because they were very helpful when they show all the tax parcels and they have the people's names on there. I can't even, and you'll understand this as you get more mature, but you can't even see some of the stuff that's on there to be able to analyze it. And I would certainly like to see the large plans again, if possible. I don't know what it would take. What about the rest of the commissioners? Do you all agree with that? We all need the large plans, everybody? Thank you very much. Any other commissioners have any comment? Any other business to bring before us tonight? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Sarah, call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes to adjourn.
Mr. Servon?
Yes to adjourn.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes to adjourn.
Mr. Mills?
Yes to adjourn.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jester?
Yes to adjourn. Thank you all for coming. See you next week.